Hey guys, Asher coming at you today, Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video, guys. And some positive vibes your way. Today, we're going to take a look at Abbess. So, a few shout outs to you guys. We have Rajul Official looking for an Abbess guy. We have August, I can pronounce that. August P. Ash, I absolutely despise my Abbess. I feel like she's the most useless Lego. Not even substantial for faction wars. Please come through with an updated guide on her. Very interesting comment there. And then we have Sean Straw. Could you do a build on Abbess? Just pulled her. Would really appreciate an updated guide on her. And Mr. Polska looking for a guide on Abbess. All right, well, let's go ahead and do it here. Before we jump into the game, let's go ahead and see what she's rated. Well, you guys can see on hellhades.com and where she is used. So a Sacred Order, Force Affinity, Legendary Attack Champion. She looks very statuesque, does she not? Very, very interesting aesthetic on this champion. Her overall rating is a 4, which I actually would go, spoiler alert, I would go maybe a 3.5 or a 3 on Abbess. Not to say she's not good, but I consider that average or slightly above average. That's where I put her in terms of a nuker. 4, I would put a little bit higher of a tier personally. Doom Tower, they give her a 5 out of 5. Now, Doom Tower waves, well, you know what? I'm not going to just sit here and dump on her all at the gate, but I will say the problem, I wouldn't give her a 5 out of 5 in Doom Tower waves because she's too squishy. For high-level stages, if you don't have a Seer activation team or anything crazy like that, or a Poison activation team, she's just too squishy. She's going to die all the time, especially on hard difficulty high stages. However, in dungeons, I do agree. 4 out of 5 in Spider, Fire Knight 4.5, Dragon 4.5, Ice Golem 4, and then we have Eternal Dragon, Celestial Griffin, and Dark Fae, and Frost, and Magma, all with a 4 overall grade. Somebody on the Hell Hades team really likes Abbess. In the arena, they give her a 4 out of 5 as well. Her multipliers are a 2.8 strong on the A1, a 5.1 godlike rating on the A2. That's significant. And then we have a 4.5 or a 4.5 of enemy defense attack on whatever is highest on the A3, which is another godlike rating. The A3, the Divine Wrath, is the highlight of her kit and what she can do as a champion. So let's go ahead and take a look at this champion here and maybe make more sense of that A3 especially. So Abbess, here she is, again, in all her glory here. She's got the nice crown. Does she have lore? She does have lore, so if you want to go ahead and read that, you can. Sacred Order, I feel like a lot of the Sacred Order champions actually do have lore on them, more so than other factions. Either way, Arrows of Rebuke is her A1, attacks one enemy, removes one random debuff from this champion, and places it on the target. That does require accuracy, okay? It's a good A1, though. Removing a random debuff and swapping it over, very good. Mass Impalement. This is the 5.1 multiplier, and you can see her base attack is very high at 1564, so very nice damage here. Attacks all enemies, 100% chance of placing a decreased defense, big version, 3-turn cooldown, perfect. On Divine Wrath. Attacks all enemies. This got a buff maybe a year or two ago as well. It used to be a pretty hard-hitting ability. Now it's a really hard-hitting ability, which is great. Attacks all enemies. Damage inflicted proportional to either this champion's attack or the target's defense or attack stat, whichever is the highest. So we're attacking a target. If they have more attack than she does or more defense than she does, she will go by that stat instead, which is fantastic. It really alleviates the necessity to just absolutely like get her sky high with base attack, right? Because she'll just go by their defense or their attack, and odds are one of them are going to be pretty high on your opponent's team, right? Deals an extra 30% crit damage if the target's attack is highest. We'll ignore 30% of the target's defense if the target's defense is highest. So this actually kind of rewards us for not having an extremely high attack. But yet we want a high attack for the A2 and the A1 ability, both which can hit very hard in their own right. But we want the extra crit damage as well. So what I like to do is find a happy medium for my Abbess. I want to find, you know, it's hard because we're going to be using her in so many different areas. It's hard to plan out, you know, exactly who we're going to attack. So I build her with a decent amount of attack. But instead of going attack on the banner, I'll go accuracy on the banner. Instead of just going all out with all my best attack gear, you know, I'll go with a moderate amount of attack. But I want to go by their attack or their defense to get the ignore defense, right? Very good against tankier troops. Ignoring 30% of target's defense is very good and a hard-hitting ability. Increase ally attack and faction crisps by 34%, a good faction aura lead. That's about it in terms of aura, obviously. But as I mentioned, 14k, barely 14k on the base HP makes her very, very squishy. And that is really what, to me, holds her back from being used in extreme endgame content. Now, I realize that, not all of you are in the endgame, but even if you're not, maybe even you're just starting out, you ought to know which champions are most viable once you do reach the endgame of Raid Shadow Legends. And I think that she is certainly going to be viable as a speed farmer in faction wars and other areas of the game. She can be a niche and fun arena champion as well. But I hate to say it, out the gate, before we even show anything here, I do think that she's been a little bit power crept and outclassed by some other champions throughout the years. A lot of defensive base hard hitters who can do some kind of nifty things with their kits as well. It's easier to keep them alive, right? So, all the Stultuses that have been added to the game, it did power creep her a little bit, That being said, she's still a very, very good damage dealer, like raw damage dealing, right? So we have her in Savage gear. I did what a lot of us have to do sometimes, right? And I put her in Savage and then a broken set. You can see I have a Destroy chest and I have a Fury boots, both which have a lot of crit rate because I was running very low on crit rate on this champion. I do have attack percentage on the chest, but it's a 5-star, not a 6-star, okay? As I mentioned earlier, I should have, yes, accuracy on the banner. I have crit damage, and then I do have attack. I'm not totally ignoring attack or anything like that, but you can see with a 5,500 attack, it's a lot, or excuse me, 4,500. It's a lot, but it's not anywhere near what we'll run into, especially like in the arena or from a lot of other champions outside PvE. And then the defense is 2475. Not too bad, not too great. Her HP is pretty low. She has 96% crit rate, but we don't have the masteries yet. We're going to pick them out together, guys. So, in terms of masteries for this champion, obviously accuracy is required on Abbess because we want to land the decreased defense, and we want to do that nifty little buff, debuff, transfer, or whatever on the A1, or debuff, not buff. So we're going to go with Evil Eye. We don't have any basic sets on this champion, so we're going to go with Master Hexer. Keep in mind that Sniper will not do anything on this champion. Everything's 100% in her kit. So we're going to go with offense. We're going to go with crit rate. We're going to go with crit damage. We're going to go with Shield Breaker. We're going to go with Ruthless Ambush. We're going to go with Opportunist or Cycle of Violence. It depends if you're going to be setting her up. If you want to set up your Abbess with a Stun, Sleep, Fear, True Fear, Freeze, or Petrification champion, or have one of those champions on the same team, maybe a Mithrala, maybe a Tormin, maybe a Ninja, maybe a, Syl the Drakes, maybe a, whatever, any of these champions, Mithrala, we want to go Opportunist. If you're not planning on running her with those champions frequently, I would go Cycle of Violence. In my case, I'm going to go Cycle of Violence because I'm not sure who I'm going to run her with. Okay, I'm going to go with Single Out. I'm going to go with Bring It Down. That's almost always going to be proccing for us. I'm going to go with Kill Streak, and then we're going to end with Helm Smasher. Now, we do get to choose one more. I'm going to go Methodical. So there we go, guys. These are all the masteries on Abbess. I really like this build. It's really good. We get a lot of bonus damage between Bring It Down, between Ruthless Ambush, and then all the Ignore defense with Helm Smasher plus a Savage, plus the Ignore defense on her A3. I went with Soul Reap as a blessing on this champion as well. I have her 2-star Awakened right now. We get a target threshold of 4% and an attack of 500. Other blessings to consider would be Brimstone on this champion. We're building her obviously with enough accuracy anyway. You could also go with Cruelty on her. Heck, you could even go with Phantom Touch. Maybe get a third hit out of her A1, utilize her in, or a second hit, excuse me, out of her A1 to utilize her as a debuffer and damage dealer in early game or progression Fire Knight. So those are the options there, guys. Let's go ahead and start out in the arena with this champion, just see what you can do. So I want to actually be going against, like, how I would use Abbess in the arena. If I was early game, I would just use her everywhere, like at every single arena battle, if I pulled her as one of my first legendaries. If I was like mid-game or whatever, I would try to target teams with a lot of Magic Affinity champions. And the good news is Magic Affinity is the most popular affinity still in this game. Of course, I don't have a ton of options here, but I guess I'll go against, of course, when I say that, I've got nothing magic. I got this kind of weak team here, so let's start out easy and get a little bit more difficult as we go. What do you guys say? So increased attack obviously is going to be the perfect setup for this champion. You may notice I'm using her on a go first team, but I have a Madame Ceres who has this ability, Midnight Ritual, that places a decreased defense on all the enemies. So why am I doing that? Well, I'm doing that, and I should have gotten opportunities because I'm running here with the Chimera, but I digress. I'm doing that because I don't want to lead in with the Mass Impalement. I do want to lead off with Mass Impalement in any dungeon, in any PvE content, in Doom Tower waves, you name it. But I want to lead off with Divine Wrath in the arena. So setting her up with somebody else on the team that can land that decreased defense is going to be great. Divine Wrath does, well, around 107,000 damage or so. Rhonda actually withstood that blast. I mean, never in a million years would I have thought that Rhonda would not die to Abbess's A3. Strong matchup and all. All right, let's try it again. Boom. There we go, 111K. So you can see that we scored some really big numbers there, granted against a pretty squishy team, though. Let's go against a little bit of a tankier team here and work our way up. And then we'll find like a really good defensive-based team so we can ignore some defense with that A3 as well. So let's come in here, debuff. Just check out our numbers again. Divine Wrath. Boom. Not bad. Not bad. Would have killed everybody had it not been for Bad Alcazar's unkillable there. All right, he's down. Let's go. Let's go for, like, you know, a better team. All right, unfortunately, this is not going to be the team for us, right? 2 Spirit Affinities you really want to avoid. And that's another thing that kind of holds her down. I hate to be such a hater here on this guide, guys, but Sun Wukong's everywhere in the arena. And, you know, she's a bad matchup for Sun Wukong, very bad. Going to be a weak hitter, and he's going to keep coming back to life, and she's not going to be able to dispose of him very well, so that kind of sucks. Not to say that she can't do it, but you can see, you know, we didn't kill Valkyrie, again, a Spirit Affinity champion, but she took care of everybody else. As you guys can see, she hits very hard, very hard. So provided the affinities are there and you don't have a better option on your account, she can be a completely viable and powerful arena nuker. There's no doubt about that. Let me go one more team here. This is a great one. It's kind of the team I was kind of looking for, a tankier team with a Magic Affinity champion or two. So we have an Elva, a Pythion, a Mithrala, and a UDK. They don't really have a nuker here. They went all-out defense. Let's see if we can dispel that strategy using the Divine Wrath. Boom. So we killed 2 of them right out the gate there, and we can just turn meter boost. We're going to get a sleepy Pythion waking up here. We're going to reset the abilities and come and do it all over again, hopefully killing them this time. Let's see. I haven't tried out the A2, and I'm tempted to, but I want to make sure I can kill Pythion. Almost. Man, Mithrala is just like a beast here, huh? Now they're going to get a reviving, and now we have a petrified Abbess. Oh, no. But you guys can already tell here. I've been pretty negative on Abbess this video. Listen, she's like a very improved version of War Maiden, you know? A Magic Affinity debuffer who can deal some damage, granted a lot more damage than a War Maiden, but I still think she deserves another buff. Like, we're not going to be able to kill this team, I don't think. Maybe. Let's keep it going here. They have 2 revivers. We got petrification everywhere. Frankly, whether or not we won or lost this battle, because Arbiter could obviously keep reviving and keep going forever here, I think it's rather boring, so we'll give him the win. But you can see in the arena, I would call her a, I don't know, 3 out of 5. I would probably give her a little bit lower, just because there's so many like viable, competent nukers out there now, you know? Even on, I would probably even rather have like a Robar, ever so slightly, right? Robar's a good comp to her, a very good comp to her in my opinion, because he also has a 3-turn decreased defense, and he's also Force Affinity, and he also has a very hard-hitting A3, right? He just hits a little bit harder, right? Anyway, she is very good, though, I will say, at earlier stages of Doom Tower, right? So let me just go ahead and show you, like, you can breeze through with 2 strong AoEs. You can breeze through normal content with her. No big deal, right? Obviously, you'd pair her with another nuker or 2, but you can see that was the mass impalement. She's going to come in with the A2 mass impalement. I actually don't want her to use. I shouldn't have put it on auto. Oh, she keeps mass impalementing. Why isn't she going in with the Divine Wrath? It's interesting. I don't even want her to right here. And we're going against Spirit Affinity, of course. I picked the wrong dungeon to go in there. Why? Interesting that she's not using her A3 at all. She's not even using it. Huh. That is bizarre, huh, guys? Oh, was that it? That was the Divine Wrath on the last one. There we go, I think. Anyway, she can deal some damage, right? I mean, this is normal difficulty, though. Let me go ahead and show you Faction Wars, mainly for a damage test, right? So we're going to have just a bunch of freaking amazing nukers on the team, right? And we're going to see what she can do compared to these guys. And my guess is that, okay, she barely even gets a chance to go there. That's not really fair. Little anecdotal here, right, guys? But she will have a chance to come in with the Divine Wrath if she doesn't use it. This is bizarre, man. This is bizarre. So we learned something here, guys. She refuses to use her Divine Wrath. She refuses to. If I'm correct, she just is not using it. This is bizarre. All right. Why do you guys think? I haven't really seen that before. So she's had it like off cooldown. I haven't seen her use it. Pretty good numbers there. You know, very strange. Anyway, so there's a way to mitigate that, but it's a little bit annoying if you're not running in a pre-save team. We want to go in there. I'll show you after this battle. I mean, most of you guys probably already know, but we want her to go in there and prioritize the Divine Wrath, right? So again, damage-wise, actually, it's super anecdotal. It's hard to even compare because of the speeds of this team and how fast they blew through this content. But I would put her really, you know, I guess in the same conversation as Astralon, but she doesn't have the stun, you know, the guaranteed 100% stun, or at least the 100% chance of the stun. You know, Constantine, I think, is a lot better. He's just a lot slower, so he didn't get a chance to go too much. But yeah, I mean, overall, she's a very competent nuker, but whoever it was early on, it's kind of, I chuckled reading the comment who was just like, yeah, I can't get her to, you know, be good on my account or whatever the comment was. It's because I do think, again, as I said in the beginning, a little bit of pirate creep. It depends on when you pull a champion like this, right? You can definitely utilize her, and you can even get through dungeon. Like if you don't have a seer, for example, right? And you have an Abbess. I'm not going to run a regular dungeon here, but I'm just going to do a quick little. So you have a reset champion. So let's go with Abbess. And I'm just going to use Kymar here, but of course, any reset champion will do. Like a Renegade, you know, you could do kind of the same thing here. So you can just Divine Wrath, do pretty good damage there, right? I mean, you'd think she could easily one-shot these mobs, level 185, you know, with Divine Wrath. I guess if they're under debuffs first. But then you could reset. There we go. You could reset, go in with Divine Wrath again, and just rely on her sheer raw damage ability. Now, this is kind of like the old Abbess that I remember, right? Just going in there and single-handedly just demolishing everything with 2 hard-hitting AoEs and a hard-hitting A1. Again, but now I just feel like there's a lot of champions who can kind of do that now, you know? Especially ones that aren't so squishy, you know? If you were going to give this champion a buff, what would you do? What would you do? Like, I almost feel like they could take that A3 and just boost those multipliers even a little bit more, you know? Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for the guide. Overall, I would say an average to above average damage. Well, I would say an above average, like a B+ damage dealer, maybe A-, but kind of one-dimensional given how squishy she is. So build her with confidence if you're looking for a nuker. Otherwise, maybe keep her in the vault. Thank you for watching, and as always, take care, guys.